We want to welcome in Congresswoman Liz Cheney, joining us exclusively this morning from Jackson, Wyoming. Congresswoman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. Good to be with you.
Well, about last night, you lost by approximately 37 points, a greater margin than even polls had predicted. And I'm remembering back to when we had an interview back in May 2021 when you lost your leadership position. I said, they are coming after you. President Trump wants to go to Wyoming and take you on in the primary. And you said, bring it on. Well, they did. And here we are. And you lost. How do you feel about that now? What's your response today?
Well, look, I think, as we've talked about before, I won my primary by 73 percentage points 2 years ago. The path to that same victory would have been very easy. It was clear how that path would go. But that path would have required that I accept, that I embrace, that I perpetuate the big lie. And I've been very clear at every moment since January 6th that there are some things that have got to be above politics. That there's no political office that's more important than the principles that we take an oath to defend. And I believe that Donald Trump continues to pose a very grave threat and risk to our republic. And I think that defeating him is going to require a broad and united front of Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And that's what I intend to be part of.
Back to a moment for your race. We all know the old adage, all politics is local. And in focus groups and interviews with reporters, many Wyoming voters said that you had lost your way. You went Washington, and you were focused too much on Trump and not the issues that they cared about. One poll showed 61% of likely Republican voters there said you weren't focused on Wyoming issues. Was that the issue? Did you have the wrong focus?
No, look, I think I'm very proud of everything that we accomplished together with the voters of Wyoming over the last nearly 6 years. But it became very clear after Donald Trump attacked the Capitol, sent a mob to attack the Capitol, refused to accept the results of the election, refused to tell his supporters to leave the Capitol when the assault was underway, that this was a threat that we've never faced before. He crossed a line that couldn't be crossed. And as a nation, you don't get the opportunity to debate and discuss any other issue if you simply turn your head away from that kind of a fundamental threat on our republic.
Well, in point of fact, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy did consider this a referendum on your work on January 6th. Former President Trump last night said it was a complete rebuke of that work. And you have said in the past that you thought the voters of Wyoming fundamentally understood how important that fidelity to the Constitution was. Did you get that wrong? Do people see it differently in the Republican Party?
Look, I think what we have seen, not just in Wyoming, but across the country, is that Donald Trump has betrayed Republican voters. He's lied to them. Those who support him have lied to them. And they're using people's patriotism against them. They're preying on people's patriotism. Kevin McCarthy made his decision a few weeks after January 6th, knowing what he knew about Donald Trump's role in the assault on the Capitol, when he went to Mar-a-Lago and said, we're going to welcome him back into the party. To me, that's indefensible. This is a great, special, exceptional nation, and we need leaders who have reverence for our Constitution, who are faithful to our Constitution, and who are going to do what's required to abide by our oath, no matter whether or not it's politically convenient. Kevin McCarthy certainly does not fit that bill. But I know that there are millions and millions of Americans across this country, again, regardless of their party affiliation, who know that there's something more important than partisan politics and who know we all have to stand together if we want to defend this republic.
The former president said last night you're now headed to political oblivion. You said this fight is just beginning. You've even launched a political organization already. So let's just be straight about it. Are you considering running for president yourself?
Well, what I'm going to do, Savannah, is spend the next several months completing my work in Congress, obviously completing my work representing the people of Wyoming. We have a tremendous amount of work left to do on the January 6th committee. And also, though, I'm going to be making sure that people all around this country understand the stakes of what we're facing, understand the extent to which we've now got one major political party, my party, which has really become a cult of personality. And we've got to get this party back to a place where we're embracing the values and the principles on which it was founded, and talking about, fundamental issues of civics, fundamental issues of what does it mean to be a constitutional republic.
But Congresswoman, you didn't answer me yes or no.
It takes to keep Donald Trump. I will be doing whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office.
Well, I know you didn't say yes or no, and that's fine if you're thinking about it, but are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about running for president?
That's a decision that I'm going to make in the coming months, Savannah. I'm not going to make any announcements here this morning, but it is something that I'm thinking about, and I'll make a decision in the coming months.
Let's go back to the primary season. It's almost over now, and 64% of the Republicans who have won their primaries are election deniers. That is your red line. That is who is coming to Congress if Republicans prevail and get control of Congress. Given that state of affairs, do you think it would be better for the country if Democrats retained control?
I don't think that anybody in any political party should support election deniers. That's true here in Wyoming, and it's true all across the country. It's simply too dangerous to elect somebody as governor who will refuse to certify votes unless it meets their own political preference, to elect people as secretaries of state who will refuse to count votes, count legitimate votes, to elect members of Congress who refuse to accept the outcome of the last election. So I think that is a red line. I don't think anybody should be supporting those people. Republicans shouldn't be supporting them. I also think it was wrong for Democrats to support Peter Meyer's opponent in Michigan, who was an election denier, for Democrats to play a game of elevating an election denier in the hopes that they could defeat that person in the general. I think we all have to recognize how dangerous it is to elect people who don't fundamentally believe in upholding our constitutional process.
Well, let me try it one more time. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she fears for our very democracy if Republicans win in November. Do you?
I think we have to make sure that we are fighting against every single election denier. The election deniers right now are Republicans, and I think that it shouldn't matter what party you are. Nobody should be voting for those people, supporting them, or backing them.
You are now the latest House Republican who had crossed party lines and voted to impeach President Trump to not be retaining your seat. Only two have won in their primaries. People talk about the battle for the soul of the Republican Party. You have said there's a time for choosing whether we're loyal to the Constitution or loyal to Trump, and we must choose. Has that choice been made by Republicans fundamentally?
Look, I think the Republican Party today is in very bad shape, and I think that we have a tremendous amount of work to do. I think it could take several election cycles, but the country has got to have a Republican Party that's actually based on substance, based on principles, based on a belief in limited government and low taxes and a strong national defense, a belief that the family has got to be the center of our community and of our lives. And those are the principles I believe in. That's what the party used to stand for. And we've got to get the party back to that. A party that has instead embraced Donald Trump, embraced his cult of personality, is looking the other way as he continues to do things like put out the names of FBI agents just in the last few days when he knows that our law enforcement is the target of violence. Put out the lies that he has put out in the last few days about what happened in the search warrant execution at Mar-a-Lago. Every Republican, every American should reject those. And I certainly know there are millions of Republicans and Americans across this country who will.
And finally, in the moments we have, word on the street was that you and your team were fond of an editorial recently that likened you to ObiWan Kenobi in Star Wars, who said to Darth Vader, essentially as they duked it out, "If you strike me down now, I will be stronger in death." Is that how you see it? You're stronger in political death this morning?
Well, I don't see it as death this morning. My kids certainly appreciate that analogy. They've been running the YouTube clip around the house. But I think we have a tremendous amount of work to do. And certainly, I am absolutely going to continue this battle. I think it's the most important thing I've ever been involved in, and I think it's certainly the most important challenge that our nation has faced in recent history, and maybe since the Civil War. And it's one that we must win.
Congresswoman Liz Cheney, thank you for your time early this morning in Wyoming. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Savannah. Great to be with you.